Hello opinion members, my name is Jacky Blisson and welcome to your Cellar 306 the Master Case tasting. So today we are tasting wines from Castelfranetto is the name of the producer in the Le Marche region of Italy, and this is their Collequieto lineup that we're going to be tasting today. So I have three wines in front of me, a Montepulciano, which is from Abruzzo, which is the neighboring region to Marche. Then I have a Rosso, Piceno, and finally I have a Lacrima, which is a grape you might not know, but it would be interesting to discover together today. So to follow along with this tasting, if you've decided to open all three bottles of wine and taste along with me, I recommend, so pop all the corks. If you can, grab three different glasses so you can pour them side by side, and then you can taste and compare. And it's always more fun if you do this with a group of friends. Maybe you can even make the recipes that they suggest in the cellar, which is a fun activity to do. So let's dive in. So Castelfranetto is a producer in the Marche region, which is on the eastern side of central Italy between the Apennine Mountains, which really form a sort of a spinal column down all of Italy from north to south. These are very high peaks, and then the land will gradually flatten as you reach the Adriatic Sea. So quite a hilly area, very famous for white grapes like Verdicchio and for red wines as well, mainly from Montepulciano, but also from Sangiovese. So they are based in the Marche area. As I say, they have about 35 hectares of vines, and this is a really sustainably minded producer. Their winery was built with all natural materials, buried mostly underground to make use of thermal temperatures and gravity regulation. And the Togni family, which owns Castelfranetto, they really have quite a few sustainability endeavors they've put in place, and this is a huge focus for them. So quite an important thing to think about here. So they make wines, as I said, from the Marche, but also from neighboring Abruzzo. So the first wine that we're going to try today is from this Abruzzo area. So Abruzzo mainly makes red wines. So the first one that we're going to try is a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, and this is the biggest appellation in the Abruzzo area. So Montepulciano d'Abruzzo is a red wine that tends to have bright, quite vibrant acidity. It's often medium in body, quite tangy, red and dark fruit, sometimes some tar and smoky undertones to it. Can be made in unoaked and oaked styles. So we're gonna go ahead now with our tasting. You can go ahead and sip this. So as I said, lots of red and black fruit, quite ripe because this is a Mediterranean climate. So this is a really sort of a dark ruby, quite a dense color here. And then the acidity on this wine is really tangy, really bright and lively. You're getting a lot of tart red fruit, dark fruit aromas as well. And then on the palate, medium bodied, quite, the tannins are pretty broad, a little bit chalky, but not aggressive, not overpowering. This is an unoaked wine, and this will really go well with quite a variety of dishes. You could pair this with spaghetti bolognese, for example. You could pair this with a portobello mushroom burger, or maybe braised lentils and a red wine sauce. That's really delicious. All of these things, it's quite versatile in terms of food pairings. So moving on to the second wine. So we're back in the Marche here with this Rosso Piceno. So Rosso Piceno is from an appellation that is in the inland part of the Marche, quite a hilly terrain here. It can go all the way up to 700 meters in altitude, which gives some nice cooling influences to an otherwise fairly warm Mediterranean area. And here we actually have a blend of Montepulciano, the same grape that we were just speaking about in Abruzzo, with Sangiovese. Sangiovese, very famous grape, grown all over Italy, actually the most planted red grape in Italy. So Sangiovese will often give quite tangy red fruit, really fine, bright acidity, and the Montepulciano, more of the dark fruit, and sometimes some of those tar smoky notes I was speaking about before. So here you actually have quite a surprisingly floral element to the nose, which is really nice over those sort of red and sour cherry type notes. I find this has a little bit more acidity, a little bit more punch than the previous wine, which is really nice, really refreshing. And then a very clean, smooth palate, really tangy, sort of red currant, red cherry type notes with dark plum as well. Some earthy, savory undertones that are really, really nice. And then those lovely chalky tannins that are fairly well put together, and the wine gives a nice construction overall framework for the wine, which is lovely. Again, this is either unoaked or very lightly oaked. There's not a huge oak impact on this wine, and it would pair with quite similar dishes to the previous, or maybe a lamb cutlet, something along those lines. The last wine we're going to try today, we're still in the Marche, but this is a very different grape. This is Lacrima di Morro d'Alba. So Lacrima is the name of the grape, and this is quite an ancient grape from the Marche area. It gives a really interesting floral impression that can be quite surprising for a dense, full-bodied red wine like this. And then right off the bat, you're getting this floral explosion: lavender, violet, rose, peony, all these lovely floral notes with ripe dark fruit underneath. Again, lively acidity, quite full-bodied, fairly firm, fairly tightly knit on the palate. Would probably benefit from being decanted, or at least opening the bottle a good half an hour before you're going to serve it. And then you're definitely going to want to pair this one with something hearty, because the tannins have a little bit of a chewy edge to them, which is quite attractive if you pair the right dish, but definitely needs that food pairing to sort of round it out a little bit. I would suggest pairing this with something, maybe aromatic herbs to go with that lovely aromatic floral note. You could go with a gnudi, which is a sort of ricotta and spinach dumpling, maybe in a sage kind of a sauce. That could be delicious. Or again, lamb or beef, but maybe with a rosemary element to it to give that lovely aromatic herbal note to it. There's all kinds of choices. You could even go to sort of tame those tannins with a hard cheese like a Parmesan or a Pecorino would be lovely. So 3 different wines from the Marche region especially, and also Abruzzo, that really give you a flavor for what Central Eastern Italy is capable of. So I hope you enjoyed these wines, and definitely feel free to send me a comment to tell me what you thought.